From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend.
There is more, you guys. Also joining us is friend of the pod, Dana Buckler from the Dana Buckler Show. Hello, friend.
Hello to both of you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's good to be back.
It is so nice to have you back. Because of our new normal, we asked Dana if he would come on, and we're just going to talk about we're going to do a little status check, see how everybody's doing, and then we're just going to talk about like what's comforting us, what's distracting us. We've each picked 3 things. We don't know what's on each other's lists. It could be anything. Mine won't be Animal Crossing, I promise. But let's do a status check. Let's start with Dana. Dana, how are you doing?
Well, I am as good as to be expected given the circumstances that we all find ourselves in. Like many people out there, I have found myself, I like to use the term temporarily unemployed. I worked at a restaurant when the governor of my state, which is Florida, decreed that restaurants were not allowed to sell food or alcohol on the premises. We made the decision, since we were an independently owned restaurant, not part of a big corporate chain, to just go ahead and close until this is all over with. And that is, as of recording, just over a month ago. So I have been practicing the self-isolation. So it's, look, this is the best way I can describe it. Like, we're all kind of going through the situation. I'm grateful, and I do not take for granted the fact that I've got electricity, air conditioning, because Florida, and internet. And so, I live by that motto. It could always be worse. So look, I'm finding myself in kind of a weird situation as far as my mental state sometimes, because I have no routine and no structure of any kind. So I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm kind of living the life of a house cat. I just wake up whenever, take multiple naps during the day, eat whenever I want. I'm also genuinely losing track of what day of the week it is. I actually looked at my phone on Wednesday.
This. Yes.
On Wednesday, I looked at my phone to verify that it was Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Okay, because there's nothing for me to, I don't want to say look forward to, but there's nothing for me to focus on except doing my podcast, which that is the one big positive that has come out of this. Is since I have been on the self-isolation, I've released 10 episodes in just like 3.5 weeks, where I was struggling to get 3 a month out sometimes. So I'm keeping myself busy in that regard.
And you've been doing a series that's called the Lockdown Sessions with different people, and they're really great.
Thank you. That was just, I've had a lot of guests on the show, previous guests, and I've, like you both know, one of the amazing things that happens when you podcast is you get an opportunity to meet people from all over the country, and in fact all over the world. And I have been I've been reaching out to a lot of these people and saying, hey, come on the show. I'm genuinely curious about what's life like for you in your part of the country or in your part of the world. So I'm going to continue to do those episodes until this is all over with. And I was going to wait until the end of the episode to extend an invitation to both of you. But of course, I'm going to have both of you come on for one of those sessions as well. I look forward to it.
I would love to do that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yay. That would be fun. Oh, gosh. The new normal.
The new normal.
Yeah. It is like, I love all the different podcasters we have met through this and getting to talk to them and hear their stories. And I feel like you learn a lot listening to your sessions about how different people cope. And I just like hearing about how different areas are dealing with this, because I am in a bit of a liberal bubble. Actually, before we even started recording, we were talking about like what our different states are like. And we actually represent like the 3 most populated states, right? It's like California, Florida, and New York. So I like hearing what's going on in other areas.
Yes, and you have Gavin Newsom as your governor.
Yeah.
Margo, you've got Cuomo. I mean, the whole
Mhm.
world knows who Cuomo is.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Governor Ron DeSantis here in Florida.
Wah wah.
Is he better than Rick Scott or no?
Yes, and
That's
yes,
good.
yes.
Yeah.
I can unequivocally say 100% yes. Up until all of this was going on, this would have been the first time I actually said to my friends, depending on who DeSantis runs against in 2022, I might actually vote for him because he was doing a lot of good for the state before all this was going on. So,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm
Mhm.
just sort of kind of taking a step back from that. But I talk to most people over the past 2 years, and they'll say that they're pretty satisfied with him as a governor.
Well, I'm glad that he was looking out for you
Yeah.
guys. I wish he would do it a little bit more now.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing, Margo? Status check.
I'm doing okay. So I'm in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a block and a half away from a hospital, the same hospital I was at when I had my operation a year and a half ago. And they've had to put out tents outside the building because they got so many
Oh
patients.
my gosh.
And there's so many people that go through there. It's just become a little ridiculous. And I said a story to Sonia a couple of weeks ago, 10 o'clock at night, a couple of weeks ago. A guy started yelling up and down the street. And I realized, and I opened up my window because I knew what was going on. And then I realized, like, oh, wow, there's no cars on the streets. There's no airplane traffic. I live near JFK. It was so quiet in the city that his howling took up the whole like neighborhood. And it was eerie, and it was like Walking Dead. It was
Yeah,
just
it's so
so
scary.
crazy and scary. And somebody called the cops, and they took him away. And he said, I hope he's okay. But it's just so different. And now when I hear sirens and stuff, I used to just like toss it aside as a thought. But now I'm like, oh my God, is that another COVID patient? I don't know. It's I've been okay. I'm working a little bit, but I was also a part-time fitness instructor. All of the gyms are closed, and it's weird to say goodbye to a job and not even know that was your last day. It was
Yeah.
just like we just found out in the middle of it, like, oh, we have to shut down right now. And it's something I've been doing for 10 years that I love to do, and I miss it. So I hope it comes back. But like this gigantic YMCA that's down the street from me, it's empty. No one's there. And it's so strange. And I was watching my Real Housewives of New York and I got wistful because I was like, oh, I miss my city. I miss, bopping around and all these people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I miss it, but I have a nice rent stabilized apartment. I have some savings. I have internet. I got my cats. I got my podcasts. So I keep busy, which is good.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in a really good situation in that I am trapped in the house, but I am trapped in the house with like my favorite people. My husband and my son are here, and we both have jobs where we can work from home. So we're lucky.
Mhm.
Like I know that we're super lucky. But San Francisco is deserted, and I told the story already to Margo in a bonus episode, but there's still like San Francisco's gonna San Francisco. So like I'm out somewhere and you'll see like a naked man, but he's wearing a mask. I'm like, he doesn't want germs, And I'm like, okay, like, San Francisco's still crazy, like that sort of thing. And what's funny is, even before all this side story, the naked people in San Francisco don't even faze me. Like, they don't even register in my brain as a thing. And like, my nieces will be like, oh my God, look. And I'll look over and there'll be like a naked man. And I'm like, oh, look at that dog. It's so cute. Look at that. And she's like, no, I'm talking about the naked man. Or you see the naked man riding a bike and I'm like, you're not wearing a helmet. But it's super weird here because kind of like Margo in New York, like you're used to, there's a lot of people around and now there isn't that. And you pay a lot of money to live in New York. You pay a lot of money to live in San Francisco, and the things you love about the city aren't really happening right now, but it's okay. It's not forever, I hope.
No, no.
Right.
If I could say that, where I live, from what I understand, is drastically different from what the two of you are experiencing. I live in an area where I don't feel like everyone is taking it as serious as they should.
Mm.
Now, I am one of the people that when I do venture out to the grocery store, I instead of going in the morning when everybody goes, I go about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's very sparsely populated when I go there. And I would say half the people are wearing masks, half the people are not. And I still get people that will roll their eyes at me because I'm wearing a mask and gloves when I'm going down the aisle. And
Mm-hmm.
it's I think depending on what part of the country and you are in, or specific what part of the state you're in, dictates how serious people are taking this. And every day here in the city I live in, you see the numbers going up and up and up. And yet, everyone's just clamoring we got to open back up. And I'm just like, not necessarily. So it's very different here. I live across the street from a big church. And for the past 3 Sundays, they've been doing services at this church. Now they're calling it an outdoor service where people are supposed to stay in their cars. No one's staying in their cars. The windows, the cars are parked about 2 feet from each other. All the windows are rolled down. There's children everywhere. It's very disconcerting to watch that. Now, I'm all for people practicing whatever religion they want. That's completely, I have no issues with that whatsoever. But the issue I'm having is the people that are going there are then going to go to the same grocery store that I go to, are then going to go, and so I'm not trying to be on my, high horse here, but I feel like it's putting the rest of the community at a higher risk by doing that. And they have enough speakers set up out there that it sounds like a music festival at 10:30 in the morning on a Sunday, and it's rattling the windows of where I live. And, the cats aren't really enjoying the music as much as they probably thought they would, but, it's tough.
You should shout some requests. Play something
Free
else.
bird.
Yeah, play some Jesus Christ Superstar. No, it's scary. That's one of the things that's so scary about this is we're in it together and we're relying on people to do the right thing, and a lot of people don't want to do the right thing, or they don't think it's the right thing, and that's really, really scary. They're the people that would let a zombie in the building, and you're like, what'd you do that for? Like that sort of thing. It's
Don't tell
frustrating.
me I can't love a zombie.
Yeah.
It's my right as an American to love a zombie.
it's really frustrating.
Jesus Christ, people are stupid.
It's really frustrating. I totally hear you. And you're at their whim. Like they are going to go to your grocery store now, and I don't know. I know.
Because I live in a small town. I mean, small by comparison to New York and San Francisco. It's a population of 60,000. And it's not a question of if. It's every time I go to the grocery store, I see people that I know. And it's kind of really strange to not shake their hand or come within 5 or 6 feet of them. And I've realized that, everyone wearing, like most of the people I'm around are wearing masks. So you don't really get the emotions when people are talking to you. You're just looking at their eyes, and it's just I have a feeling this is going to go on for a while, like the wearing of the masks, and it just really kind of messes with my head a little bit because I'm such an animated person when I talk to people in person. So I'm just not used to you just have to look at my eyes. That's it.
Yeah, it's the same. I had to go feed my mother-in-law's cat because she was in the hospital, and I walked she lives in like a senior housing complex, and I was wearing my mask, and there was like an older lady sitting out front, and as I walked by I said hi, and then I realized like she can't see that like I'm smiling or anything, and I just told her, I was like, I'm smiling at you underneath this mask, FYI, like just so you know. I'm like, I'm friendly, I'm nice, you can't tell, but I swear I am. I'm just here to feed a cat.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Weird times. I keep going back to that. Weird times.
Weird times.
Do we want to talk about what we're watching, reading, listening to? What's comforting us? What's distracting us?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you want to go first, Dana? Guests first.
Okay, so should I go through all three right now, or are we just going to each take a turn? What's the best way to do it?
Let's each take a turn.
Okay, so first thing that I try to do at least twice a week is have an honest to goodness movie night. Now, how I do that is I make my living room, as dark as possible. I have some surround sound headphones that I put on to give that full surround sound experience, and I make popcorn. And I make it a point to watch a movie that I haven't seen yet. So I want to give myself that experience of going to the movies without all of the let's say baggage that usually accompanies me when I go to the movies.
Just you.
So I have been having flawless movie experiences. That's another positive thing that has happened since I've been self-isolating.
I love
so
this
I do
idea. I'm going to start doing this.
Twice a week. But the important thing is, I turn my phone off, and it has to be a movie that I've never seen before. And so I've been doing that for the past 3 weeks. Now, sometimes the movies are good, sometimes they're not great, but it doesn't matter. It's a new movie. It's a new experience. So I will, years from now, when the subject of a particular movie comes up, I'll be able to say, well, I watched that during quarantine. And I'll think back like I saw it in the theater, even though it was my own little makeshift movie theater that I created. So that's the first thing that I do.
Have you seen anything you really enjoyed lately? Anything that surprised you?
Well, I've the 3 movies that I've had my movie night. Three, 4 actually. Yeah, 4. I watched The Way Back. I watched Onward. I watched The Hunt, and I watched The Gentleman. And I would say that of those ones that I've watched, The Gentleman I really, really enjoyed. That's the Guy Ritchie film, and that's sort of Guy Ritchie going back to the well, if you will. This is more akin to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch than some of his later films. Now, what I liked about the movie was the first time I saw Snatch, I think that came out in 2000 or 2001. I saw it in the theater, and it was so moving at such a fast pace with so many characters that it was almost hard to keep up with what was going on. With The Gentleman, it's kind of pump the brakes a little bit. It's a little easier to digest and a little easier to follow along. And great performances by Matthew McConaughey and Colin Farrell. And I just really had a good time with this movie. If you like early Guy Ritchie films, I would highly recommend that.
I remember really liking Snatch. So maybe this would be
And I like
jam.
Lock, Stock.
Yeah, so this one's worth a watch. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's on that same level, although he's definitely doing something original versus, his multiple Sherlock Holmes films or his Aladdin movie and things like that. He's doing an original story, which I appreciated.
How was Onward?
Onward was fun.
Okay.
It was enjoyable. I mean, it was, I had no idea what the movie was about. I didn't even watch a trailer. In fact, I was like, oh, this is animated. Like, I really knew nothing about it. I just started the movie. I was like, oh, this is an animated film. Okay. No, it was fun. It was fun. It was enjoyable. I would recommend that as well.
Yeah, it's on our, we have Disney Plus, and we have an 8-year-old, so we have been entertaining the idea of watching it, but we haven't done it yet. But if you're saying it's fun, maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah. The Way Back, which was the Ben Affleck film, which was sort of the best way I could describe it would be if you took Leaving Las Vegas and Hoosiers and mixed them all together.
God.
Mixed them all together. You would kind of you would get The Way Back. Ben Affleck plays an alcoholic basketball coach who's brought on to play. Who's brought on to help the school. So, that's the best way for me to describe it. It was good, formulaic.
Right.
I'm not going to get into any spoilers. Obviously, I'll never do that. But I would say predictable.
Okay.
But Affleck gives a very good performance in the film. All right. The only one I can't recommend of those ones I mentioned would be The Hunt. Now, are you familiar?
That's the horror movie?
Yeah, it's sort of kind of like a Hunger Games battle royale type movie. I did not enjoy that film at all.
Okay.
And that movie has been incredibly controversial. And if you look, the reviews are one or the other. There's no down the middle with that one. And it didn't work for me. The first 10 minutes hooked me in. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then it kind of takes this crazy turn that I wasn't expecting, and I just could never get myself back into the film.
All right.
So,
I'm not.
so this
Okay.
That's not on my list.
so
I'll
so there's
pass.
my quick movie reviews. It's fun.
I like
Love
it.
it.
I like it. You're taking advantage of the like blah blah blah. You're taking advantage of the blah blah blah. The like the new releases that are being released on
Yes.
like Amazon, which I think is
Absolutely.
really, I know they did that with The Invisible Man as well, which is the last movie I saw in the theater before all of this.
What is your review of that film? Because that's going to be a Dana movie night next week.
I loved it.
Me too. Me
Loved
too.
it.
Excellent.
It's real.
Excellent.
I think it's really great, and I think Elizabeth Moss is really great in it. And
She's good in everything.
she is. She's one of those people.
She's just excellent. I thought it was really scary. I loved it. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dana, you were asking her, but I saw it too.
No, but what I was going to say, what's interesting about The Invisible Man, now I haven't seen it yet. I've heard, like, just to echo what both of you said, I've heard nothing but great things about the film. However, when the Tom Cruise movie, The Mummy, came out, that was supposed to be that was supposed to kickstart Universal's sort of dark universe. They're multi, they're going to start, and The Invisible Man was slated to be one of those movies. But after The Mummy just crashed and burned, Universal's like, I don't know, Blumhouse, see what you can do with this. They gave it to the horror movie division. And from what I understand, like you said, they did a great job putting it together.
It's really, really good. I really did not like the Tom Cruise Mummy. Spoilers, I didn't really like the Tom Cruise Mummy. I know everyone else loves it, but no.
I haven't seen it.
No,
The
it's
trailer
not
where
good.
he's screaming in the plane crash, I was like, no, I'm done. And I
Yeah.
love Tom. Love him.
Yeah, it is not good. But The Invisible Man is. I'm really glad that worked out, that they kicked it over to them, because I really like the take that they did on this. It's quite good. I really,
Awesome.
really liked it. Margo, what's distracting you, Margo?
So I'm kind of a Little Women, nerd. And I've always enjoyed the 94 movie. PBS did a version of it about a year and a half ago with Maya Hawke as Jo March, and I really loved that. And I just super love the Greta Gerwig version of it. She just did everything so smartly. She filmed it on location in Massachusetts. The performances are amazing. Florence Pugh is amazing. I think I'm just like her new biggest fan. I just super duper enjoyed it. The only performance, I thought Emma Watson and actually Meryl Streep were not that, but
What?
for a change, I know it was a little over the top, but I just thought it was just spectacular. It was beautiful to look at, and I loved. And people were just saying, like, all the reviews were like, the older people were like, it's so confusing. It goes back and forth in time.
Oh gosh, people.
Amy has bangs or she doesn't have bangs, people. It's not that fucking hard. Don't even attempt Pulp Fiction if this is too hard for you.
Oh my god, I have a Pulp Fiction story when you're done.
Okay. And so anyway, I super enjoyed it, and Margo and I are for Book versus Movie, we're gonna cover it in December, because it's just a holiday kind of picture. But it just, for me, it was great escapism. I love just New England when it's snowy and beautiful, and everybody. It was wonderful. So that was one of my just nice little finds. And I wound up buying it because I liked it so much, and I never do that, but I wanted to just now have it whenever I want it. So that's mine.
That's a good pick. And I think it is so well done. And I like that she took a different take on it and tells the story.
Yeah.
We've heard they make this movie every generation. There's like a 30s one, a 40s one. Of course it should be different. And I love that you're like, it's not that hard because of the bangs.
It's not that hard. Yeah, it's just the bangs. She's either in Paris or not, you know?
When Pulp Fiction first came out on video, my parents rented it, and my dad really, really liked it. And my mom was like, I don't understand. Like, John Travolta was there and then he wasn't there. And then Bruce Willis was there. And then later John Travolta was back. And my dad's like, it's because you need to sit your ass down, woman, and watch the movie. Like she gets up and like leaves like to get the laundry or whatever and like comes back. And she's like, what happened to John Travolta? Like, Mom.
I saw that in a movie theater. I remember this clearly. San Ramon Movie Theater.
The Crow Canyon.
The Crow Canyon Cinemas. And I went the first time to see it because of all the reviews, and I absolutely loved it. And I dragged a friend of mine to see it a second time. It was like the second day or something. I mean, I was really into it. And 5 minutes in, like 3 different couples walked out of the theater. They just had no patience for it. They just didn't understand what was going on. They were talking about foot massages and stuff like that. And honestly, like people were pissed. Like, this is not a real movie. And they like kind of stormed out. I loved it because I've never seen that again. Nobody ever's gotten that angry at a movie. But anyway, that's my story about Pulp Fiction.
Well, Little Women's a really good pick.
Quick question for you on that one. I will openly admit that I have not seen not only the latest version of Little Women, or I have not seen any version of Little Women. So I pass the question along to both of you. If I was to start watching those films and adaptations, which one do you start with?
You start with 94 with Winona Ryder.
Okay.
It's very linear. It's great. It's a great cast. It's very well done, and the story's very linear. And Winona Ryder is just luminous, and it's just it's beautiful. And then you go to Greta Gerwig, and you kind of see what she did with it. But yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of guys feel embarrassed, but it says Little Women. It doesn't say it's some dudes. So I get it. Not every
Little
guy
Women and
want to
some
be
dudes.
into it.
I would like to see Little Women and some dudes.
Can I just say that you Margo, you were talking about people walking out of Pulp Fiction. The most people I've ever seen walk out of a single screening was in 2012 when I went to see the Seth MacFarlane directed film Ted in the theater.
Oh, wow, really?
And I went to it was either like at 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning, first showing on a Friday. And there are, like there is in most places in Florida, there's a lot of retirement communities in the area. And I was surprised when I walked into the movie theater just how crowded it was, but more surprised by the age demographic that was in there. Now, at the time, that was 8 years ago, so I'd have been 34 at the time. You know, I was big on Family Guy, and I had watched the Red Band trailers for Ted. I knew what I was getting myself into. And I was like, well, this is kind of an older demographic than what I expected. And this was like one of the first times that I figured out that a lot of times people will go to the theater without watching a trailer or even being prepared or even knowing the pedigree of the film that they're watching. I don't think anyone in this theater had watched Family Guy. So the movie starts, and within the first 6 minutes of the film, half the theater got up and left. And as I was sitting in my little twosy area, which I always sit, and there was a couple that were probably in their mid-70s walking past me, and the husband was audibly yelling at his wife, saying, "You told me this was a movie about a boy and his magical teddy bear. I don't know what the hell this is. We're out of here."
When when something doesn't meet their expectations, they get really upset. It's just funny to watch that.
Yeah, I worked in movie theaters. People used to just judge by the poster. You know, they would just look at the poster and be like, "Sure, I'm going to see that." I once had an old man ask me, and he wasn't joking. For Apollo 13, he asked if he needed to see the other Apollo movies first. And I was like, he's joking, right? He wasn't joking. He was totally serious. And I was like, no, you don't need to see the other Apollo movies was my answer. You should see this one. It's really good. I
could just open up a whole book of stories, but I'll save them for another one of things that I've seen in the movie theater, experiences that I've had.
Dana has the best stories about his movie theater experiences. Like, he's just, alarms go off, people go off. Like, it's just amazing what he's been through.
Yeah, you're like a
it's
magnet.
Like, you got to be, he's a magnet for that trouble.
One of my favorite ones. I'll tell it really quick. One of my favorite ones was when I went to go see. Don't ask me why, but I went to go see Super Troopers 2 a couple years ago on a Sunday afternoon. It was one of those. Well, it's something new. I'm going to go watch it, and I'm wearing a black T-shirt. I'm sitting in the back, like towards the back of the theater, and I'm in there by myself. And this is opening weekend, so that doesn't bode well for this film.
Mm-mm.
And right before the trailers start, these two young teenage kids come in, and they don't see me. And they sit about 6 or 7 rows in front of me. The movie starts. They're treating it like it's their living room. Feet are up. They're laughing. They're talking. And then one of them lights a joint and just starts. And by the way, this is Florida. That's a no-no here.
Mm-hmm.
And just starts blowing like De Niro in Cape Fear. Just blowing smoke everywhere. And I could not give a shit that they're smoking pot. I don't care about that. They were just being so loud and so disruptive that finally I just yelled out, "Hey guys, can you keep it down?" Well, I startled them because they didn't realize that I was there. And so they book out of the theater. And so I'm back in there by myself and I'm just laughing. I'm like just hands behind my head. Like, this is great. I got the theater to myself. Well, a few minutes later, in walks like 3 employees and a manager, and the whole place just reeks of pot. And they're looking at me. I'm just like, so I'm yelling down. I'm like, "No, that wasn't me. Check the cameras. I know you've got cameras. That wasn't me." So that's one of my favorite stories that I've told.
You traumatized those kids.
Hey guys, keep it down.
Now, anytime anyone says anything about Super Troopers, they freak out. I like the idea that maybe you went to Super Troopers alone because you wanted to be alone. Like you went, like there would be no one else in the theater.
Especially on opening weekend.
Yeah, I just needed some time to myself, so I went to Super Troopers 2. So my first pick is super obvious, but I'm putting it on the list anyway because it's true. We busted this out pretty early into our quarantine, which is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We watched the extended versions, so it took us all week to watch the not the Hobbit. We don't watch the Hobbit or anything like that. Just the original Lord of the Rings. And it tends to start a trend. So we'll watch like all of the Lord of the Rings, and then it'll turn into Star Wars, and then it'll probably turn into Harry Potter. And so I was trying to do a little deep dive in my mind to figure out why. Why do we always go to these 3 things? And it comes down to I like being in different worlds, clearly, when things like this are going on. But also all of those movies there's a really big thing going on that one person alone cannot handle, and that they're in it together, and it seems very hopeless, and then it's very hopeful at the end. And I think that's why I just gravitate towards these 3 movie series when things get shitty.
Well said. No, that's
Wow.
really good. Well said.
Thank you. The Lord of the, like, immediately my husband's like, "I think we need to bust out the Lord of the Rings, don't you?" And I was like, "Duh, that's why I married you. You get it. You fucking get it." So we immediately went through Lord of the Rings, and we're going to start Star Wars here pretty soon. Probably not the prequels. Those don't tend to bring me any kind of joy. We'll start with New Hope and work our way through, because he still hasn't seen the most recent Star Wars movie, so we'll work our way through. And then we're going to also do Harry Potter, and we're also going to do Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Now, when you say Star Trek,
interesting.
are you talking like Star Trek the motion picture, like that, all the way through Wrath of Khan and all of that? That's a good experience.
Yeah,
I've done that. I've made that run before.
He bought the box set of all the movies, including all of the Next Generation movies, which I've actually never seen. So
Of course he did.
Of course he did, right? He's also Dana doesn't know that David's a huge Star Trek dork. He's a total dork, and he is dork. That's why it's dorking out. He's a total dork, but he's been doing a Next Generation rewatch. It's his comfort thing. He likes the idea of like really smart people trying to solve problems, and they don't have a lot of the problems that we have because they're smart and they rise above those sort of things. He finds those very comforting, but I'm really looking forward to the Star Trek rewatch, and I know I'm not alone on that. I think F This Movie just did an episode where Adam and Patrick both watched like all the Star Trek movies. So
Yeah.
I think we're all finding comfort in these
Yeah.
movie franchises.
Well, if I could say two things real quick.
Yes.
One, going back to what you said about the Star Wars and what was mentioned about the prequels. Uh, about once every 2 years, I convince myself that there is good in the prequels, that there is something, you know what, I'm going to give this one another look. And now I've got Disney Plus, and it's like, well, I don't even have to pay for this or anything like that. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It never ends well. I only make it about 20 minutes into each one. I'm like, no.
They're so boring.
They're so boring.
Yeah.
And the second thing I want to add is I have never considered myself to be like a Star Trek guy. I've always been like, well, not that I'm picking sides, but I'm more of a Star Wars person than I am a Star Trek person. Having said that, I've always enjoyed every Star Trek movie that I've ever watched. Yeah. I mean, I've always found them incredibly engaging. The only one that I have yet to watch is the third one with the new cast. It's not Into Darkness. What's the one?
Oh,
what's the
Star
third
Trek
one?
Beyond.
Beyond. I have not watched that one yet.
I really like that one.
So I can't hate on Star Trek at all. It's always something. I mean, I've always loved everything I've watched from, but I've just never considered myself to be a Star Trek guy.
Yeah, I'm definitely more Star Wars than Star Trek, and David is more Star Trek than Star Wars.
Have you guys ever seen the documentaries, Trekkies?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite documentaries. Mary Crosby directs them, and she goes to all the conventions, and it really convinced me like how wonderful Star Trek is. When you talk to the nerds of Star Trek, they tend to be compassionate, nice, smart people, open-minded and generous and accepting. And it's really just like one of the best documentaries ever, because it really completely turned me around on a topic. And then, like I said, because I'm more Star Wars than Star Trek. I'm not into Star Trek because my brothers were totally into that. But now I get it now. Yeah. I totally get it after I saw those documentaries. Yeah.
I also rewatched the prequels leading up to The Force Awakens, thinking, I know that like people who are younger than me super love the prequels. Like they grew up watching the prequels the way I grew up watching the originals. So I try really hard not to shit on them because I know that like some people super love them, but I cannot connect to those movies in any way. I try really hard and I cannot. And the one I found myself connecting to the most was Phantom Menace, and it seems to be the one that everyone hates the most.
Yeah.
Because of Jar Jar Binks, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it's the one I don't like that one either.
It's the one I could, out of the three that I can watch. The other ones, I can't connect to them at all.
I can watch. It's so interesting. I can put an amalgamation of the three together. You know, I can watch the first 20 minutes of the Phantom Menace, then I can watch the finale of the, Attack of the Clones, and then I can watch the middle section of Revenge of the Sith. It makes no sense. I know that, but like those are the tolerable parts of those films for me. So I can assemble something out of those three movies.
Yeah, but not all three. Just you need a like a little supercut.
Yeah, exactly. And there's plenty of them on YouTube. All you have to do is search.
Well, maybe I'll just do that then before we start the Star Wars ones. What's your next pick, Dana?
Well, look, I can't really leave my house. There's not much I can do. I don't want to leave my house, frankly, unless it's like to go for a walk or something completely isolated. I don't want to be around people right now. So I need to be able to escape, but I also need to have some control over that. And of course, I'm going to mention that I'm playing a lot of video games in particular. But in particular, I'm playing a lot of open world games where I have the power and the control to go anywhere I want and do the missions I want to do the side quests I want to do. In particular, I think my number one quarantine game has been Far Cry 5.
Ooh, what can you describe it to us?
Far Cry 5, think of it like a Grand Theft Auto type thing, not nearly as violent. Well, that's not true. It's definitely a mature rated shooter, but not as off the wall as, say, Grand Theft Auto. It is you're basically you're playing a deputy who has got to infiltrate a religious cult in the mountains of Montana, but that's just the plot of the game. The reality is that it's one of those go anywhere, do anything type of games. For example, 2 days ago, I was just like, well, you know what? I'm just going to do some fishing in Far Cry 5. You can literally just log into the game, get into a vehicle, drive to one of the numerous lakes and ponds, select your fishing rod, select your, whatever type of hook you want, and you can just fish for hours if you want. And you catch fish. It's just, it's really interesting because you can just do whatever you want to do, and it's kind of like my surrogate for not being able to do anything.
That's what I do in Animal Crossing. I
Exactly.
swear to God, all I do is fish.
Yeah.
I'm just fishing all the time. Like, what'd you do last night? I stayed up till midnight fishing.
Exactly. Now, the only difference is with Far Cry, you have to be careful because when you're fishing, every once in a while, some of these religious cult members will come after you and try to take you down with machine guns. But other than that, it's a pretty good experience.
If there are, I love the idea of maybe there's some like super religious animals that are going to approach me while I'm fishing, but I don't think so.
But other than that, I play a plethora of different video games right now. Everything from Madden to FIFA to racing games, and it's kind of nice because I grew up that generation, Nintendo and Super Nintendo. I was, I'm in my 40s, so that's the key gaming generation. But over the past 4 or 5 years, 6 years, I really haven't had time to play video games. I've just been too busy with other things. And it's actually kind of nice to sit down and play a video game and realize that mom's not going to tell you only have a half an hour left. Make the most of it. So I'm kind of enjoying that.
Yeah, and video games are just distracting enough.
Yes.
Like, it's, at least for me, I'm not a video game person. It's kind of, David has been enjoying watching me play because I'm just not a video game person. I played when I was a kid. I'm a little older than you, so I had like an Atari 2600. I played Pac-Man and Frogger and things like that when I was growing up, but I was never a Nintendo person. So when I play this game, like, I don't know, it's all new. All of it is so new to me, and like how far in advance the games are now compared to what they used to be. So I'm very easily delighted, basically. I'll interact with some of the animals and they say things that make me like, I laugh out loud. I literally laugh out loud. And then he starts laughing because he can hear me in here, like, ah ha ha ha. Like, I'm so easily entertained by Animal Crossing. But they are so fun, and I can see why. I don't know. There was a whole thing about GameStop was trying to deem itself an essential business and be open, and I was like, they make a valid point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a whole controversy here in the state of Florida because the governor had deemed the WWE as an essential business, and so, and everyone was up in arms with that. But and this is odd for me to agree with him, but I kind of agreed with him because if it's, if you're producing a show that's going to air on television and it's giving people a distraction from what's going on, and there's not people in the crowd, okay. So, but I get it. We need the distractions.
Mm-hmm. There's a thing going on now with baseball too about maybe continuing the season, but it would just be the teams playing each other. There's no one in the stands, things like that. I don't want them to do that because I worry about the players. I don't want them infecting each other.
Sure.
But
Right.
But I also, like, I super miss baseball right now. Like, I can't watch old games. I don't like watching old games necessarily, and that's what ESPN is trying to convince us is a thing, but it's not working for me. But I would give anything for baseball right now.
Well, they're trying to convince us virtual sports are a thing too now. I've been watching lots of virtual IndyCar and NASCAR racing. Not that I would watch. I don't know. I'm just going through YouTube and it's like live. I'm like, wait, this is a live race, and I click it on. And I'm like, this is a video game. This is, but it's the actual drivers playing the video game. I'm like, this is it. This is the future.
Are we we're turning into Ready Player One?
We are 100% turning into Ready Player One.
Well, that's really sad. I didn't like that movie. Margo, what's your next pick?
So I don't play video games, so I'm sorry, but you guys, I couldn't really add to that part of the discussion. But I've been yearning for sitcoms that are really funny, not just like a loud studio audience kind of thing. And this was one of my mom's favorite shows, so I couldn't watch it for a while. But then I went back to Netflix, and Pete Davidson on Saturday Night Live did a rap a couple of years ago, Grace and Frankie, and it made me start thinking about the show. And so I just dove into Grace and Frankie, and there's 6 seasons of the show, and it is the funniest fucking shit ever. Like Jane Fonda is hilarious. Lily Tomlin is hilarious. There are these 2 women that were best friends. Their husbands, they were married to men, and the men fell in love with each other and got married. And that's Martin Sheen and Sam Waterston.
Yeah, Sam Waterston.
And it's just Grace and Frankie live together, and they're older women, and they're always trying to get into new businesses. And they did a thing like where they created these vibrators for women who have arthritis, and they make older lube for women. And then this year, their whole thing was they made a toilet seat that lifted itself up. So for older generation, I mean, they have like funny people like Michael McKean as guest stars. It's just really sharp, funny, writing. You're just laughing out loud. They're 30 minutes a piece, and it's just such a great break from the world. And I just super, super loved it. I just dove right in, and it just made me super happy. And you're gonna think like, oh, what do I have in common with like 80-year-old women? They're hilarious. Jane Fonda, by the way, looks amazing.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She looks incredible, and their timing is just so perfect. And like just like from 9 to 5, like they just have that kind of banter between each other, and it's super. The guest stars are great, and it's really good. Like I said, great writing, 30 minutes a piece. You'll dive right through. It's just wonderful. I just super, super recommend it.
You throw Dolly Parton in there, and I'll definitely watch.
Oh no shit!
It would be perfect.
That show's been on my radar for quite some time, so now it's time to definitely watch it, because I haven't seen it, but I've definitely seen it pop up in my suggested stuff on Netflix. So I'll definitely give it a try. And the way you described it sounds fantastic.
It's so fucking funny. Peter Gallagher was Jane Fonda's husband this past season, and he's got some weird stuff. But they were on Shark Tank promoting their it was the stand-up toilet, and it just was so funny and just so silly, and just really takes you away from it all. And it's just really great actors doing their thing. It's just wonderful to watch. So I totally recommend it, you guys.
How does Peter Gallagher's eyebrows look?
Yes, that was
as thick and juicy as ever.
That's all I care about. Is there any gray in them at all, or?
Oh yeah.
A little salt and pepper eyebrow action.
A little salt and pepper action. He still looks great though. He's got that handsome face. He looks great, and he's funny as shit. Everybody's funny. It's just great.
They play that show when at the nail salon I used to go to back in the day when you could go and get your nails done. They were always showing that, and I would watch it, and every time I'm like, this show's funny as shit. I'm going to put it on my list, and then I don't watch it, and I don't know why. I'm going to watch it.
It's so funny you say that. I'm sorry. Did I cut you off, Margo? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. I was just saying, so funny you said that the nail salon. I went and got an underground haircut yesterday.
Secret haircut.
I know.
Bootleg haircut.
I got a bootleg haircut because I hadn't. The last time I got my haircut was sometime in February, and it was like a once a month thing. And I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and she said, "How you holding up?" I said, "I gotta get a haircut." She's like, "Why? Where do you have to go?" I said, "No, you don't understand. I have to get my haircut." And she goes, "Well, I've got a friend, but we gotta keep it quiet." I said, "Of course we do." And so I met at this secret location yesterday afternoon, and I got a haircut. And it was the strangest thing, because I was like breaking the rules.
Yeah.
I've just put that out there, haven't I? Sorry.
It's like a speakeasy, but a salon, and you have to have a password.
Exactly.
That is hardcore. We all wish we had Flobies right now.
So yeah, but she was telling me, she was like, yeah, no, she's doing quite well with the underground, or the bootleg haircuts, if you will. and she's actually had more business than when she was working at her shop.
That is
Everybody,
I'm jealous.
that is the thing that is coming up, because I have Zoom calls like all day at work, and it is the thing that comes up every day. Someone's like, my hair is out of control, like, or I cut my own bangs, and then someone else is like, girl, no, don't do it, like, don't cut your own bangs. Like, the struggle is real. We're all, I'm like, my gray's starting to come in. I'm going to look like Mona from Who's the Boss here any second now. It's like really unfortunate, but that's what I have to do. The sacrifices I'm willing to make for herd immunity. So my next pick is on Disney Plus, because I'm a total whore for Disney Plus and I shill for them like every week. I watched the Imagineering story on there. Have either of you guys watched this?
I have
don't know
not.
what
I've seen it.
No.
I've seen it previewed on there. I have not yet watched it.
Yeah, it is a 6-part documentary series about the like engineers and designers, architects that put together all the Disney theme parks. And it starts from the beginning to the end. And I think why I'm finding it so comforting is the thought that they put into every little thing. Like, there's nothing like half-assed about those parks. Like, down to like just making the rocks look old. They have people for that, and the level of detail that they do, and the fact that it's like, I didn't even know that there's 12 theme parks. Did you know that?
Well, when you say 12, are you like, do they count each individual park in Orlando as its own park?
Maybe.
Because I live 45 minutes from
Yeah.
there. And so for last recall, it's the Magic Kingdom, Epcot Center, Hollywood Studios, Adventure. No, I don't know. I lose
Yeah.
track. Animal Kingdom,
Right.
if you will.
But there's also one in Paris. There's
Yeah.
also one in Tokyo. There's
Yeah.
one in China.
Yeah.
There's which I always call them like Euro Itchy and Scratchy. Like, do you remember that episode? Hello, Euro Itchy and Scratchy is open for business. And like nobody's coming. Like, that's what I always think of. But they look amazing. Like what they're doing, and they're all like appropriate for their culture. And like one of them is like Disney by the Sea, and it's all water, and it's like right on the ocean. It's beautiful, and how there's a lot of like how they deal with like adversity or budget cuts or things like that. But I'm so blown away by like their focus on storytelling with every little thing they do, and the innovation that they come up with to bring the different attractions to life. I just found it really inspiring.
Yeah, no, it's incredible what they do. That's the one thing. I've lived here for 22 years, and I've only been to Disney World theme parks a handful of times. I tend to go to the Universal one more, but regardless, when you look at either theme park, like the attention to detail, like you laid out, it's so mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm.
Like every little, like you said, I can't wait to watch this. Every little thing has been thought out. Yeah, I'm on board. Good recommendation.
Thank you. I get very obsessed with product, I guess, because it's not just marketing. It's how they come up with the idea, how they develop the technology to make that idea come to life, and then they have to make it look a certain way. There's like puppeteers and choreographers and programmers and like modelers, and it's just the amount of people it takes to make these things. I don't know. And you get so much behind the scene footage. I just found it so very, very inspiring. I was very sucked in, and it's only 6 episodes, so
Awesome.
I highly recommend it. And I'll stop shilling for Disney Plus now. What's your next pick, Dana?
Well, I'm going to give, it's interesting you say that, because I'm going to give, I wrote a few things down. I'm going to give 2 honorable mentions, then I'll tell you my third and final. So interesting you said the Disney Plus thing. Honorable mention goes to the Disney Plus having all the seasons of The Simpsons on there.
Nice.
And to me, that is worth the $7 a month, period.
Yes.
The other honorable mention is I'm a big sports guy. I love the sport of football. I also love baseball. And I recognize that we're probably not going to get live sports, or at least a drastically different version of live sports. So on YouTube, I have been able to find hundreds of archived football games and baseball games. And I'll purposely pick out a game that I don't know the outcome. I mean, of course, I could always Google it and figure it out. But so I find myself watching football games or baseball games, not knowing who's actually going to win. So it adds a certain level of excitement to watching it. But the third thing on my list that has been somewhat giving me comfort and somewhat being a distraction is me learning how to cook. And I'm going to explain that for the past 25 years, I have been working in restaurants. And I'm working at restaurants 5-6 days a week. I'm eating the majority of my meals at the restaurants that I'm working at. So I have been purposely learning how to cook new things. And it's, I'm by myself. And I'll be honest with you. A lot of times it's like Hell's Kitchen in
that you yell at yourself?
I'm yelling at myself, Gordon Ramsay style. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why would you burn that? What are you doing? And I'm audibly, and the cats are looking at me like, what is going on? So, but no, I've been learning the subtle nuances of how to saute certain dishes, how to broil, how to bake, seasonings, making sauces, to varying degrees of success. But I'm actually having a lot of fun doing it. And I'm having a lot of fun because in the afternoon I'll go, okay, what do you want to make today? Okay, do I have the ingredients here? All right, let's go get them. It's been a lot of fun. And like I said, varying degrees of success.
I love this.
I love it too.
I love that this was your pick. I love cooking and baking. That's one of the things I do to manage my anxiety. So I've been chopping a lot of vegetables, not even necessarily for other dishes. Just I'm chopping all of these. You can eat them whenever you want. They're just chopped and ready to go. A lot of baking. And there's a lot of jokes on Twitter right now. If you go there, it's like, have white people not been able to buy bread before this or something? Because we're all like baking bread. And I think there's something that takes you out of it, that takes you out of your mind and focus. And I like that people are trying something new while they're stuck in their house. I'm like, why are you shitting on people for baking bread? They're not hurting you. Let them bake their bread.
Right.
But that's a great time. This is a great time to learn how to cook and maybe come up with your signature dish. It'll be like your dish that you're like, I'm going to a party and I'm going to make my famous potato salad or whatever rando thing you're making.
Oh, you know what? I haven't made potato salad yet. Great.
There you
great.
go.
I'm going to I know what I'm doing for the weekend.
My mom makes the most amazing potato salad that I can't eat anymore because I'm a high maintenance vegan. But other people in the family beg her to make her potato salad for their birthdays and stuff. It's like her go-to thing. And I always want to have a go-to dish, and I don't. So
Wait, what does she have in there that you can't have now?
Oh, she puts mayonnaise in everything.
Oh, right. Okay.
She's ridiculous. But she could use a vegan mayonnaise, but she won't.
She won't.
I'm like, you could use a vegan mayonnaise and I could eat this. Oh, it's too bad for you. Yeah, it is too bad for me. You're right.
My mom has been a staunch vegan for about 9 years now. And I'll tell you, I look forward to going down to see her because she makes some really interesting things.
Yeah.
And, she lets me know once a week how important it is that I become a vegan, and I'm heading in that direction.
Oh,
that's what I keep telling her.
I'm like, I don't care what other people eat. This is just what I'm eating. But
sure.
She does make other special things for me, but she will not mess with that potato salad recipe. You don't mess with perfection. What's your favorite thing you've made so far?
Let's see. Favorite thing that I've made so far, I made a homemade bolognese sauce, which was really that was a big deal for me. I got a piece of filet mignon and diced it up really small and chopped up fresh tomatoes and just olive oil and garlic and And again, something I've never made in my life before. And I was really happy with the final outcome of that. I was really impressed with that.
You're making Margo hungry.
Yeah, you
Yes.
are. It's
So,
dinner time here. Yeah.
yeah, no, it is. It is approaching that time. Yeah. What am I making tonight? I don't know yet.
You better
But that's
figure it
one
out.
thing. Yeah, that's one thing is I haven't ordered any takeout food from any restaurant here. That's one thing I haven't done in the 4 weeks that I've been home. I've just been making my own meals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. And I was thinking actually of ordering in tonight just to like support local
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's got to be something really good. That's the way I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not something you could just make yourself.
Exactly.
Exactly.
What's your
Oh, I
next?
will say,
Oh,
I was
go-
going to say, I will say, I did make my own pizza, made the dough, did everything. That was a big deal. That was a big deal. I kind of burned the crust a little bit more than I would have liked, but that's when I had a Gordon Ramsay moment when I took it out of the oven. But I was ultimately very satisfied. That was probably the most fulfilling because I had never made pizza dough before. Like this
Yeah.
was, and so that was like really creating something from scratch.
I think that's so rad. I love it. That's such a good pick. Let me know if you need some cookbook recommendations.
Certainly, certainly.
Margo, what's your next pick?
Is this our last one?
I think it is.
Yeah. So I guess I'm going to be a little self-referential here. And I don't know, Dana, if you know about this, but I have been contracted to write a book.
Yes.
And it's going to be about film locations in Brooklyn. So I have just a stack of books and doing all this research on all these amazing directors, Spike Lee, Norman Jewison, William Friedkin, looking up the Saturday Night Fever, movie and the original article and stuff like that. So I've just been going down this rabbit hole, and it turns out that the very first movie studio actually was in Brooklyn.
Awesome.
In the early part of the 20th century. And I love this story that it was out in Midwood, Brooklyn, which at the time was like the country, which is so fun to think of it now. Like everything in Brooklyn's so crowded. But that people, they used to, acting in movies was so new that anybody could go to Vitagraph Studios and just join in and be an actor. And these people would come in from Manhattan on an elevated train and carry all of their costumes and props with them. And they just say something like, we're going to film A Christmas Carol, so bring your anything Dickens-ish. And people would take on the subway, all this stuff, and they would film it there. And it just was like I said, it was just the country. Everything was new then. Filmmaking was new, and they're just trying it out then. And the very first studio was here in Brooklyn. It wasn't in California. It wasn't in New Jersey. It was here. And just learning about how people got started in the movie business, and then it's just been really fascinating. And so I've just been learning so much about Coney Island and all these just different neighborhoods, and so that's been a really great escape. The problem is all of a sudden I want to get on a lift and go to these places and check it out for myself, and I've got to wait until everything's not in lockdown anymore. But it's been a really fun escape for me.
That is so that is so interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to know more about that. I can't wait. I can't wait for. When you say you were contracted, do you have a projected time when you think the book will be done, will be published?
Well, it's going to be pushed back because everything's been pushed back.
Sure.
It's due. It was due May 1st. They're like, now it's due June 1st. So like, okay, good, extra time, because I love research. It's cold. Taking all my research and like producing something is hard for me. But we're thinking either December or January next year.
Okay, awesome. Please. And I know that we've talked, we'll talk off mic after the recording, but we talked a little bit about this, about me trying to get you in touch with somebody.
Oh, yeah. No. It's so crazy right now. It's trying to get in touch with people, so don't worry about it. But but I just love the image of these people coming in from the city, carrying all like spears and elf costumes or whatever, and going down all these stairs, because it's an elevated train, to go to this thing. And people are like, what are you doing? I'm making a movie. Like, what's a movie?
That's awesome.
I love all that. I just find all that so interesting. The only problem is that, because I was like, oh, this could be like a Hulu series or something. It's just so crazy. But the two guys that started it turned out they're raging anti-Semites and not great people. Well, I know it's not missing those characters you really root for, but other than that, it's been just a really fun time doing research.
Listen to Margo's new podcast, Nazis Ruin Everything. God
Oh,
damn
that's
it.
awesome. That's awesome.
No, it's so awesome. I'm going to read the shit out of your book. I can't wait.
Oh, as am I. As am I.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited. I'm super excited about it.
So my last pick is, I guess, Fred Astaire and Ginger Roger movies. I love old movies. Everybody knows this about me. And I find old movies to be very comforting. And in particular, I love Fred Astaire and Ginger Roger movies. They are very cheesy. They are very predictable, but they are so fun. And I love the music and I love the way they dance. And he makes it look, both of them actually, they both make it look so easy. As they make it look like anybody could dance. And as someone who was taking a dance class before all hell broke loose, I have new respect for dancers. Choreography is hard, really, really hard. I can't even do the most simple step. Like they'll show it to me and they're like, "You got it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I don't got it. Like I can't do it. I'm just so, I love these movies. So in particular, I wanted to recommend Shall We Dance from 1937, Swing Time from 36, and Top Hat from 35. They're really,
I love
really,
Top Hat.
they're so great. Like, I mean, and just the clothes are gorgeous. They're gorgeous. I mean, Fred Astaire's kind of funny looking, but you know what I mean. They're really fun movies. They're just they're joy. They're like, it's like 90 minutes of joy.
I'm glad you answered the question I was going to ask, which what ones do you recommend? Because it's just not a little out of my wheelhouse, but something that I definitely would love to explore a little bit more.
Yeah, I think those three are like classic Fred Astaire, Ginger Roger movies. I'm trying to remember which one they skate in. I want to say it might be Shall We Dance. There's one where they dance on roller skates.
Oh, wow.
And it's amazing. It's just amazing to watch. Before Xanadu, these people were doing it.
Oh, Xanadu.
Yeah. We did an episode on Xanadu, like a month ago, Margo?
Mm-hmm.
And we were really blown away by Gene Kelly in that movie. And he dances on roller skates and he's like 67, 68 years old and he's dancing on roller skates. I was like, he could fall and break a hip and he is still doing it and he makes it look easy. It's amazing. He's amazing in that movie. It's not a good movie.
It's not.
But the soundtrack is something.
Listen.
Who's the guy in that movie? Is it Michael Beck? Is that his name?
The guy from The Warriors.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get in touch with him because The Warriors was filmed in Coney Island. I was trying to get in touch with his people, but he's on the convention circuit.
Maybe he's afraid you're going to ask him about Xanadu.
There's this fantastic clip of the Warriors. They had like a 25th anniversary or 30th anniversary, something like that. And they had a bunch of the original actors and they took them to Coney Island, the boardwalk. And you guys probably don't know this, but when you go to Coney Island, you have to go up this huge flight of stairs to get to the subway. And all of them just kind of look at each other and go, "Oh, God, my knees." And they just kind of slump up the steps. They're all gray hair, got little pot bellies. It's hilarious.
Ugh. I just watched The Warriors again like 2 weeks ago. We did like a Zoom like movie night with some friends and we started the movie at the same time and we watched The Warriors and I had told them that I was like the rival gangs would have caught me in the first 5 seconds. I would have been like, I'm not doing all this running. Like there's so much running. I would have ran like 2 steps and been like, forget it. It's not worth it. You got me.
But that's the New York of my childhood. Like in the 70s and 80s, that's what New York looked like. I mean, the subways anyway. It's so incredible. I mean, it's just going to be weird what it's going to look like when this is all over. Is it going to revert back to that or what? Am I going to be a baseball fury?
Or are you going to be the guy in the overalls and the roller skates?
Oh, what are they called? The Lizzies? The chicks are packing heat.
Yeah, the Lizzies.
I'll start my own gang.
I'll join your gang.
Hell yeah.
Duh. Obviously,
awesome.
I would. Are there anything else? Is there anything else we want to give a shout out to that we're watching?
Yes, I'm gonna shamefully, or not shamefully, but just I've been watching the 1984 classics, plural, because both movies were released in 1984. Breakin' and
Yeah.
Breakin' 2, The Electric Boogaloo on heavy rotation every morning, almost
I
every morning.
I don't understand. You're saying like you're ashamed. That's
No, I
Yeah,
know,
those
I
are
know.
awesome movies.
They're the best.
they
They're the
are.
best. I love those movies, and my friends are like, "What is wrong with you, Dana? You're posting clips from Breaking on your Facebook page. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. Like, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
It
I love
is.
it. It's truly the greatest."
I love the first break-in. In fact, I've been hosting like a radio show at work, like a lunchtime radio show on Wednesdays. And I'm doing songs from movies because of course I am. And like my first show I did, like I think the second song on it was Break In There's No Stopping Us.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that song is fucking dope. And anyone who doesn't like it, well, you don't have to listen. But I
Is
love
this that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that the one that has the "This could be the night"?
That's
That-
the
no?
second one, I think.
I think that's the second one. Yeah.
Okay.
No, this one's
They
just
both
like
movies were.
no, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
I
you.
was gonna say both movies were released in 1984,
Mhm.
like in the same year. Like that's unprecedented.
Yeah, because they filmed them in like 3 days.
Yeah.
They were both filmed in the first week of June 1984.
I don't know who's your favorite, Kelly, Turbo, or Ozone. For me, it's Ozone. He's
See,
the man.
See, I'm a turbo.
Okay.
Who's the one that that hits the subway rail? Primo? Is that his name? Isn't that the one where somebody hits the third rail on the subway? Is that Beat Street?
I think that's Beat Street because
Oh,
Breakin's in L.A.
Okay, no, that's Beat Street. Yeah, I got the guy's name is Primo. Like he hits the third rail. The guy, and my brother used to do this all the time. Primo.
Yeah, no, that's Beat Street. Yeah.
Now you have to put that in the rotation.
Yes, I know.
I love the end of Breakin' where like I'm gonna dance. It's kind of like a Footloose. Like I'm gonna dance my kind of dancing or whatever. And like
That's what he says.
yeah,
The guy goes, "Who are you?" He goes, I'm Ozone, street dancer.
street
It's the best.
and he like rips off his
Rips his
sleeves to his
sleeve.
to his tux and he ties it around his head and it's like the most intense look on his face like oh I'm gonna go to war, I'm tying the sleeve around my head and then and then he starts like doing the centipede or whatever it's like,
It's the
it's so
best.
awesome.
It's the best.
Oh, that sounds so
now
fun.
I'm gonna start. I have to go
I'm
watch
gonna have to
Breakin'.
watch that.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
gotta
I
go,
gotta
you
rent
guys. That's such a good one. I would also like to be watching Breaking on repeat instead of I've been watching like Peter Pan on repeat because like I said I have an 8-year-old. Peter Pan's kind of a dick.
He's a huge dick.
I'm like this movie is not working for me and Calvin loves it. He's like they're flying. He loves it. Like I can fly and I was like Peter Pan's a dick. Fuck him.
I also want to recommend actually that I've been watching again. It's been a while, but it's on Netflix and it's a documentary called Wild Wild Country.
Oh, it's such a good one.
Oh, it's a batshit crazy story about this cult that moves into this little town near Bend, Oregon, and they take over the town, but then they explode upon themselves. It's their hubris brings them down, but it's just the most insane story. And it's like 4 or 5 episodes. And every time you watch it, it's just like, I cannot believe this was a real thing that happened. It's just amazing. If you've never seen it, definitely check it out.
Glad you recommended that because I've been eyeing that one on Netflix for a little while here, and I'm glad you recommended that. I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's one of those that I started watching and then couldn't stop watching and ended up staying up really, really late to finish because I was like, what the fuck is going to happen now? Like, I had to know.
Well, you
It's
think
so
that
good.
it's going to be about this cult leader and like how, magnetic he was and stuff like that. But it turns out it's his first lieutenant, Sheila,
Mhm.
is the star. And she's this little woman and she's scary as shit,
Yeah.
but so charismatic and funny. And it's crazy. It's crazy pants. You have to see it.
I was burning through the series on Netflix, Dirty Money. Are you familiar with that?
Margo's been
Uh,
watching that one.
Just screaming at the sky after every one of those episodes. I just go outside. I'm like, no, this can't be happening in this world. No.
And then someone
Jared
yells at
Kushner's the
you,
worst.
shut up.
it's great. It's a great series. I recommend everybody watch it. But I'm telling you, it'll make you so angry, some of those episodes.
Jared Kushner is such
Yeah.
a horrible person. Yeah.
I want to
Yeah,
punch him
that
in
one
his
in
face.
particular. Yeah, that one in particular.
Ugh. It's not like in Italy where everyone gets out on their balcony and starts singing. And this one, it's everyone watching in our country. They're watching Dirty Money and then going outside. No!
Maybe that's what this guy was screaming about the other.
Yeah, maybe. He's like,
He saw
Jared
Dirty
Kushner's
Money.
the worst.
Ah!
One of the most New York things that I saw a few weeks ago was my friend sent me. It was from, I don't know which local New York paper it was from, but it was some lady was singing on her balcony, and you hear someone on the street just yell, "Shut the fuck up!" Like it was in New York. And I'll have to find it and send it to you guys, because I was just laughing because you just hear, and she sounds beautiful. She's just singing. I'm like, oh, this is just like Italy, and you just hear someone, "Shut the fuck up."
That's about right. That's awesome.
Oh God, that's funny.
This felt really good. I'm so glad that we shared what's distracting us and what's comforting us and shared our stories. I love it.
Absolutely. And I want to say one thing that I've been telling, my friends and my family is, I think one of the things that people I think are going to remember most about this whole situation was the incredible sense of humor everyone had. Like everybody, I think everybody was kind of taking this in stride, and I think humor is always really, really important. And I know I had a lot of fun talking to both of you today, and I know we had a lot of laughs, and that was really refreshing. And it's been kind of stressful, and it's just been so nice to talk to you both and laugh, and just, it's been great. So thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Thank you for coming on the show. It's so good to have you, and I want you to come back more and more, please.
Absolutely. And I'm going to have each of you individually or both at the same time for an episode of the Lockdown Sessions. We'll work that out, whatever works best for both of you. But I'm thinking like next week. So just let me know.
Okay.
No, I'm going to be out of town.
Okay. So you're the lucky
I'm
You
one.
got some
traveling.
bread to bake, dude.
Yeah, I have bread
Some
to
bread.
bake. I'm traveling. And by traveling, I mean I'm playing Animal Crossing.
Exactly. Oh, it's a fishing trip. I got you.
Where can people find your podcast, Dana?
Sure. The Dana Buckler Show is available wherever you get your podcast, predominantly Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, the whole nine. You can follow the show on social media on Twitter at Dana Buckler Show, Instagram at The Dana Buckler Show, and I'm on Twitter at Dana Buckler.
And Margo, where can people find you?
On social media, you can find me at Brooklyn Fitchick, mostly for Twitter and Instagram. And my blog is brooklynfitchick.com.
And you can find both of us again at What a Creep if you can't get enough of our voices. And we have a Patreon page that you can sign up for. And you get fun bonus episodes where we've both been drinking. And I swear even more, to the point where people leave us bad reviews because they don't like how much I swear and they don't like how much I sing, but they are really fun. And you can find me at thesoniashow.com, no relation to Dana's show, and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram. And thank you so much, Dana, for coming on. This was so good, and I got such a good list of recommendations from both of you.
Listen, Sonia and Margo, it's always a pleasure to talk to both of you, and we're all in this together, and we are literally like at 3 different points in this country, but it's been awesome to reconnect with you since the last time we all chatted, and I wish it was under different circumstances, but at the same time, I'm glad it was kind of one of these circumstances, because it's nice to know that you're both doing well and you're both safe, and you've given me some interesting things to look forward to over the next couple of weeks as far as recommendations. So thank you to both of you.
Let's not wait for the next global pandemic to have you on.
Yes.